to White. He's in! Patriots win the Super Bowl!
Welcome to Patriots Touchback Podcast.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome along to another edition here of the Patriots Touchback Podcast. We are here to review training camp and also preview the first preseason game for the Pats starting on Thursday. Joining me tonight, we've got our two main guys. DJ is with us, and so is Nick. Good evening, gentlemen. How are we doing this evening?
Good evening.
All good.
Superb. Right, let's crash straight into training camp then, shall we? Because, well, there's been a lot to talk about regarding of the defense in the first few days of training camp was completely outclassing the offense. We heard a lot of rave reports going around Christian Gonzalez with his pass breakups and his interceptions and so on. Nick, you've got all your notes there, basically. What have you seen so far on the defensive side of the ball? Because this was basically New England's main calling card last season. How is this defense going to improve?
Yeah, I think one of the advantages the defense had over the offense is that it was going to be a new offensive system. So the first sort of 3-4 days, as I understand it, it was mainly the offense just walked through the simple things, don't change anything at the line of scrimmage. And so the defense found it very easy to dominate over the first few days as the offense just started to start slowly and build and build and build. But going back to the defense looks to be setting up on a sort of like on a 3-3-5 nickelback setup, like an old school 3-4 sort of thing. Like you said, Christian Gonzalez seems to be getting rave reviews. He's successfully interfering and breaking up wide receivers. He got praise from Bill on the press conference. That's hard enough as it is. So, you're obviously doing something right if Bill does that. As I understand it, the big improvement he needs to make, based on what Evan Lazar said, was he needs to improve his anticipation. He's sometimes just a step behind because he hasn't anticipated what's going to happen. But I think that comes with time, and I think that comes with experience. So we should see that improve over the next few weeks, months as he gets better.
It does sound that way. He has been looking pretty sensational in training camp. The other player that's been doing the rounds and has still been impressing the coaches is linebacker Marty Mapu. Continues to make very good plays. I think at one point during one of the days he would have had a would-be sack. I don't think they were in pads at the time, but it would have been a would-be sack for Marty Mapu.
I think he's been red for Jersey, isn't he? For a good couple of days of training camp as well.
Yeah, I think for the start of it, he was redshirted, no contact jersey, but he's now in pads. He looks to be one of those. He looks to be again another defensive rookie who could break into the 53-man roster and probably even start in week 1 against Philadelphia, possibly.
Yeah. Definitely, yeah. I think he's a one to kind of look out for, because I think he's going to come through to the rankings, and he maybe not this year, but in the next years to come, definitely going to be a force there.
Nick, what else could you tell us about? Go on.
Mr. Inconsistent, Christian Barmore, he's showing flashes, but he's not being consistent. And our other big rookie, Keon White, he seems to be again. He seems to be impressing. He's converting speed to power very well.
That's a bad mixture to have. This guy's a bruiser. This guy's an utmost bruiser.
Looks such a bad man.
So
I posted a tweet the other day, right, and it was basically you got Dietrich Wise Jr., Josh Uche, and Keon White as the defensive ends. That is not a fair matchup for opposing tackles.
No, he seems to be the speed off the line which he had in college
Yep.
As he gets bigger, as he bulks up and he gets bigger and he adjusts to the pro, it seems to be that he is converting that to some serious power. So
Yeah,
good luck.
I'm looking forward to watching him on Thursday night in preseason. I am. See what damage he does to the Texans O-line. What's this I'm hearing around about of Jack Jones? Because once again he is showing why he is a very good corner, but he has got issues off the field. We already know about the gun charges, as we already know of. But apparently he either walked out or got told to get lost on a training session. What can you tell us about that?
yeah. I think he got in a bit of a ruckus, didn't he? With can't remember which player it was, but he did. Either
Kendrick
one got
Bourne.
ejected. Sorry,
Kendrick
Or
Bourne.
was it? Yeah.
Bourne.
He wasn't ejected.
No, but I think he decided to walk off himself, and then I think Mills or Peppers, one of the two, decided to like walk him off the field and said, "Look, you need to calm down." Heat of the moment situation. But I think that's the competitiveness in between the training camp situations. Given what he's got going on off the field, he's probably bringing that to the field, and that's where the heated situations obviously occurred. But I can't envision it being anything serious, to be honest. I can't.
It's aggression at the end of the day, and
Yeah.
and he is a sticky
You want
corner
that from your players.
He's brilliant man-to-man coverage, so he wants to be aggressive on that. That's everything that he can be. But let's just hope that his off-the-field issues don't come into this season, because apparently, it's still not been sort of resolved yet. But the fact that Belichick has kept him in the squad is actually a good sign to say, we're still keeping hold of him until it's basically saying innocent until proven guilty, basically.
Yeah.
And then the minute he does get found guilty, that's it. You're cut. Belichick will not hesitate, and that's
I'm gonna take a leaf out of your book, Carl, and I'm gonna say, did he shoot off the field?
Wow.
Oh wow.
As I understand, again, I'm reading what I read last week. He wasn't ejected. He wasn't injured. He was the last one on the field, but he wasn't late. He clashed with Bourne while on an 11-11 rep, and he had the defensive pads they wear to stop the grappling. And something was said between Bourne and Jones. Jones wasn't aggressive towards Bourne. He didn't do anything wrong. He just got up and walked off. And yeah, you're right. Peppers and I think Mills and Wade tried to get him to come back, but he walked off. He was off the field for about 20 minutes, came back. He was in full pads, came back, stayed on the sideline, didn't take any more part in practice, but was there to take part should he have been required to. So I don't think anybody still knows what actually went on. I don't know whether he was dealing with an issue regarding these.
Mouth in it.
Possibly, but I would have thought if Bourne had said something, Bourne may have gone over and told him. I don't know. But I don't think anybody actually knows what happened. But he was, according to Tom Curran, he definitely wasn't ejected. He definitely wasn't injured, and he definitely wasn't physical and thrown. And he didn't throw any punches towards Bourne, and neither did Bourne towards him. So it's all a bit sort of up in the air as to what actually happened. But maybe, like you said, maybe he's just got everything that's going on away from the football pitch. Maybe it's just sort of like beginning to get too much for him, or just take over him occasionally.
It does seem that way. It does seem that way. What more can you tell us what's happening in training camp regarding on the defensive side ball? Who has been, because Isaiah Bolden, who was an extremely late round pick for us in the draft, he's showed flashes, but he's been in the second group, I believe.
Special teams, isn't it?
He's been on special team, but he's also been in the second group as well, because you've got one group which Mac Jones throws to, and then you got Bailey Zappi who throws to the second one, and then you got Trace McSorley in the third group. Isaiah Bolden has been he's been doing some good returning, but his corner ability is also turning some heads as well, as I've noticed.
I've honestly not read too much into Bolden, but I think it's one again to keep an eye on for like special teams and stuff like that. So I think Bill will definitely want to try and keep him around if he makes the 53. I don't know.
I think there's a few
practice squad.
I think there's a few lads that the Patriots really want to keep around on the practice squad that are really impressive. Yeah, but I mean, I haven't got anything that stands out. There's, apparently Bill Murray, who was the defensive tackle that converted to the offense last year. Apparently, he's not a fish out of water. He's taken to the offense really well. So, but defensive wise, the big ones I took were Keon White, Christian Barmore, Gonzalez, and obviously the incident regarding Jack Jones. So Marcus Jones seems to be being consistent but not amazing. So, I think
I've got Carl Duggar as well, impressing, like left off as he did last year as well on the back end of last season. I think he intercepted Mac Jones in the first 2 days of practice twice. So he's definitely still, obviously he's playing for the last year of his rookie contract. So he'll be one to want to make a good appearance for this season. Hopefully he gets paid because I think he does deserve it, and it's someone that you want there in the backfield for years to come, especially now Courtney's.
I was going to say, with no DMAC, he's really, Duggar's really got the opportunity to stand up and be counted. So,
he was one that caught my eye, and I think Judon had a quiet start to training camp. I don't know if that's
until he got paid.
Exactly. So I don't know if that was Bill being Bill or him being him, but until he got paid a couple of days ago, I think the first proper training camp after he got paid, he could have had 2 possible sacks on Mac Jones straight off. So again, coming off that edge, the O-line is either too weak, or it just goes to show how powerful Judon was, and he just wasn't performing in the first couple of days. But then once half pads are on, he's now actually back to his best again, so which is a good positive thing.
No, his new contract, they didn't add any years to it, but I wrote it down here. His guaranteed money went up from 2 million to 14 million. And his total money went up from 12.5 to 18. So he's guaranteed at least 14, could earn up to 18, as opposed to only being guaranteed 2 and possibly earning 12.5. So he's got paid big time.
It's a weird contract because he's got paid, but there's no like additional years that's extended him, was it? It's like a restructure.
He's a veteran though, isn't he? You don't want to add too many years and then be stuck with him. So I think if he has a season this year like he had last year, they'll give him a new contract.
They will. And New England will have the cap space to do that.
Oh, yeah, next year.
Well.
Yeah.
Next year, they'll have a massive amount of cap space to sort that out with. Okay, let's turn our attention now to the offense, because this was basically the thorn in our backside last year where it just never happened. I mean, Nick, off screen, you talked to us about percentage in the red zone and third down conversions and that sort of thing. And it was very, very dark news, shall we say. But it looks like Bill O'Brien has stepped in and the offense has finally got something going. It's quite complex what Bill O'Brien is trying to do, but it does look like Mac Jones is, it looks like he's back having fun again, is what he said to the reporter.
Yeah, just referencing that conversation we had. Last year, we had a red zone scoring percentage of just 42.2. Our third down conversion percentage was 34.8. We were hitting 5 yards a play. Our rush plays were 42% and our pass plays were 57%, completing about 66%. We were not good enough on offense at all. So, and I think we all know who we can blame for that. I'm not going to mention him because I don't want to upset Carl, because I know he's, you struggle with that, don't you? So I'm not going to mention it. But we've moved on.
I got a twitch in my eye. If you can just not see through my glasses.
We've moved on. We've got Bill O'Brien, and like I said when we were touching on the defense, as I understand it, the first few days, listening to the podcast and listening to those that were there and reporting back, the offense over the first 3 days, it was just simple. It was simple, straightforward plays. Don't change anything at the line of scrimmage. If the defense know what you're doing, that's fine. Just do the play as it's supposed to be. And I think that's where the Kyle Duggar interceptions come in, DJ, that it was fairly obvious that's what was going to happen. But Mac was doing what he was told and just complete the play as it's supposed to happen as they begin to learn this new playbook. So it was almost as if like the first 3-4 days for the offense, don't worry about what actually happens after the ball's spiked. It's just play the play as it's supposed to be. But the offense seems to be on an upwards trend. I'm not sure why Stevenson's having his workload managed, apart from there's only, Strong seems to be, having a good practice, although not, Harris is having good moments, but Stevenson's only taking part in about a third of the plays, because I don't know whether he's managing his plays or whether Bill's managing them. But I
think it might come down to, that Stevenson's going to be our main RB going into the season. Why risk him? Why put him under so much pressure, injury? I don't know. He could get stumbled on or whatever. That may be the case, but I reckon they're just trying to let the other guys take most of the reps, see who's going to be that second running back situation. Harris, Strong, which is probably what will play a main part in this preseason game. I think it's going to be a rotation of those RBs to see if they're going to do anything different, or do we need to bring in an Elliott, Fournette, Cook?
He was having dinner with Matt last week, wasn't he?
Yeah, I know. They looked all happy, didn't they?
Oh, wow.
Big ass party.
Yeah. Well, the Ezekiel Elliott situation. I mean, I don't really rate Zeke at all. I don't, but yeah, it is what it is, really. But regarding
he does fit the scheme, though. He fits our scheme. Pass catching player.
Yeah,
it's your James White, but Zeke.
Well, that's why we've got Pierre Strong. Can't you just convert Pierre Strong into the third down back?
Can do. But...
His elusive speed will kill defenders.
Might not be that
good. Moving on, because I don't know what to say to that. I'd have Zeke. I really would. But,
I think I would on a cheap deal.
He's going to take
bring him in for training camp. Bring him in. Couple preseason games. Don't like him, cut him. That's it. No, there's no. Don't know.
It better be a cheap deal because he got given the bag in Dallas. So,
2 wide receivers to note. Kendrick Bourne looks like a whole different player this year. Obviously, he was another one that didn't like his OC. Kendrick Bourne looks to be a different player. He's lighting it up when he needs to. And then I think Demario Douglas needs a mention because, and I quote, Demario Douglas is tearing it up. So, he's having
jumped,
a great camp.
He's jumped ahead of Tyquan Thornton in the roster order as it currently stands. The way he's been performing, Thornton's not been playing that great, but Demario Douglas is making a lot of noise to say, I'm here. So if you look at the receivers, you look at Devontae Parker, Juju Smith-Schuster, Kendrick Bourne. You are probably looking at you are. What? Sorry,
Peppers. Not Peppers.
Receiver.
No, who am I thinking of?
Jasiki?
No.
But he's tight end.
That's tight end, yeah.
No, I'm going. Hang on, I'm going to go on my roster thing because I'm thinking of someone in particular.
Well, the original, as I said, the original 4 was with Thornton in it as well. But now Demario Douglas is basically now making a huge case for it. He's been making play after play and getting a lot of touchdowns as well. There was a nice little corner post route that he did, which was absolutely sublime. Not sure who was on coverage. I think it was Jonathan Jones that was on coverage.
Jonathan, yeah.
Yeah. Really, really good
Keishon
catch
Boot.
there.
Keishon Boot.
Boutte. It's Boutte.
Boutte. Yo, Booty.
It's Boutte. The last couple of days, Boutte looks like as we get there. If we can get that sort of production that he got from when he had that real big year in LSU, that's a steal, an utter steal. Now, if you look at the depth chart with the receivers, see, as you said, Devontae Parker, Judas Smith-Schuster, Kendrick Bourne, they're probably your 3 main receivers. They're your 3 main locks right there. You then look at Tyquan Ford, who's dropped off a little bit. Demario Douglas is still fighting for that position. Could Keishon Butte actually take that 5th receiver role ahead of Thornton? Me personally, I think unless he absolutely balls out in the preseason game against the Texans or next week, whoever we play, I believe it's Green Bay, if I'm not mistaken, next Thursday against Green Bay. If he balls out in those 2 games, then there will be a question to ask. Tyquan Thornton has got to have a big preseason.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't seem to be converting the potential.
No, he's got the speed, but there's just not.
But that's what everyone said last year. Everyone said he's got the speed, and he was didn't he have the fastest 40-yard dash or something when he,
yeah.
And it was like everyone said he's got the speed, but what else has he got? And
that's what he said. Could have the John Ross. We could have another John Ross on our hands here.
And it just seems to be that he's not. You need to see more from him, and if he doesn't show what he needs to, he's going to get left behind.
Do you risk putting him on the practice squad and someone taking him? Or do you take all 6?
I think it depends how many wide receivers you're going to have. I think it's more of the playbook situations, because from what I'm reading, it's going to be a more of Alabama playbook scenario this year. So a lot of RPOs, screen passes, long balls,
play action,
play
action as well. Yeah.
Again, is it going to be a rotation situation where we want to use all those wide receivers? But
I think you'll see 6. I think you'll see Patriots serving 6.
That's
so
6.
Yeah, I would have your main 3, and then you've got Douglas, Thornton,
Butte,
and that means Mixon loses out.
Trey Nixon misses out again. Dear.
And he was somebody who last year I had high hopes for. Because I remember sitting here on this pod and saying, "Oh, I would put Mixon in my wide receiver list," and he was the bottom one when everyone else was saying, "Well, what about Thornton? What about Thornton?" I was like, "Well, I really fancy this, this Trey Nix," and he hasn't done anything to warrant a spot. And if we are at that point as the Patriots where we have to have people who contribute. You cannot sit on your backside and not contribute. The team is not good enough for you to skirt through, and not put the miles in. So I don't know, I suppose it takes a whole new meaning in Bill We Trust, because you can just use one or the other and just whichever. So
the thing is, Thornton is now going with Zappe, so he's in the second reps. He's not even. I think in the last day or 2, he may have been doing it with Mac, but from what I read in the first week, he was all Zappies.
The practice session today, I think I saw from Evan Lazard was basically he ran a route, was wide open in the end zone, and Bailey Zappi underthrew the ball.
Yeah,
which sounds about right, really. So I don't know, maybe. Is Thornton positioned under threat? It is a little bit. This is why I say, it's going to be tough for Thornton to try and break in. But if Nick's right, it says it's a six receivers on the roster, then he obviously gets in. But the Demario Douglas one really is opening my eyes. It's like, oh, you're a 7th round, what was it, 6th round pick?
Yes.
Yeah, 6th round pick out of Liberty. And it was like, I don't know anything about you, but let's just see what you do. It's always nice when you get these late round picks on these undrafted free agents come in and they ball out better than what the early round picks do, which is quite surprising, really.
I think I go back to the comment I made when we were talking about the defense, and I mentioned Belichick's press conference, that when he stood there at the podium, Bill is not somebody to give out information freehand. He's not somebody to give out praise that's not deserved. And when he stood there on that podium middle of last week, so you'd have been talking sort of like session number 6, 7, because they did Sunday, didn't they? So you're talking like session number 6, session number 7. He stood there on the podium and voluntarily, he wasn't asked, he voluntarily gave the information that on the D side, Christian Gonzalez, and on the offensive side, Demario Douglas, both deserved standout praise. And if Bill is doing that off his own back and is not being asked to do that, you have to wonder how good these two are really shining. And if Demario Douglas is that good and he is performing that good, then the guys in front of him better worry. Because if Bourne, I know I just said about Bourne supposedly is a different player, if he drops off or if Parker drops off, it sounds like Bill's got no problem in bringing in
Demario Douglas
and saying, "Go and get me a first down."
Well, from what I've seen through the reports, we've talked about obviously the rookie receivers out. Let's go into the main receivers, our main targets that will go to Devontae Parker, Juju Smith-Schuster. Juju didn't play in mini camp, didn't have OTAs. He's coming to training camp, and it looks like his repertoire of Mac Jones actually looks pretty good, to be honest with you. But Devontae Parker, I've seen nothing but him go up and get jump balls. That's all I've seen him do. He's just brilliant. But here is his Achilles heel. Pardon the pun, he is injury prone. Can he stay healthy for an entire season? Can he do that? If he can, we got a 1,200 to 13-yard receiver on our hands, because we know what Parker is capable of. We've seen him do it in Miami, so we know what he's capable of. With Juju, he is going to be primarily the slot guy. Let's be real. He is primarily going to be the slot guy, and he's going to be Mac Jones' safety valve pretty much in this offense. And I know we run the 2 tight end set with Hunter Henry and Mike Gesicki, but Juju Smith-Schuster, I think, is going to get a lot of targets thrown his way this season. It would not surprise me at all. What do you think of this, DJ?
Yeah, I think you're pretty spot on. I think Juju's our wide receiver 1, with Parker at 2. Then you start to think who's your 3, because like Nick's just said, you'd put your bet on dollar that it's going to be Bourne. But if Bill's come out and said Douglas is like doing fabulous camp, why not give the kid a chance? Pre-season we'll probably see this. So
I would probably say it's not like Parker was a 1, Juju is a 2. I think someone, I'm not sure who it was. It might be Doug Keed, I think it was, who reported this. It looks like that Parker could be a 1A and Juju Smith-Schuster could be a 1B. So they're not really number 1 receivers. They're sort of split in between the 2. Yeah. And then you're probably looking at Kendrick Bourne being the number 2 receiver. You're probably looking then maybe either Thornton or Demario Douglas dropping in as a wide receiver 3, possibly. I've
got Butte coming in and doing things as well. I'd like to see what he does.
I mean, if Butte comes in and shines in pre-season, then there will be an argument to have. But we have to see from that. But from what I'm gathering so far,
Douglas's speed, I was watching his Liberty highlights the other night on YouTube. His speed and his cut is just unreal. It's on a different level. It's Edelman, but it's like 20 times better.
No! I can't. No! I can't have that. I can't have that. No, I can't have that. Sorry, I can't have that. Out you go for your two minute time, Shane.
I think
I'm not having that. You do not compare a rookie to Julian Edelman, even though they were drafted pretty much in the same round. Don't do that. Don't do that again, DJ.
I think when you talk about when you said about the 1A and the 1B scenario, I think that's kind of like the point that I think the Patriots are going to try and make, because if teams don't know whether it's going to Juju or whether it's going to Parker, that in itself works to our advantage. Mm-hmm. And I think if Mac can disguise his throws enough, and Bill O'Brien has Mac doing certain things to disguise those lines, if you can get as many teams believing that the ball's going to Parker when really it's going to Juju, or vice versa, that's where you're going to get your yardage increase. That's where you're going to get your downs. So, whatever works, really, you just need the right receiver up against the right corner.
Or the right tight end.
You're playing the matchup. That's what Bill does. It's the matchup games. Depending on your opponent, then he'll use whoever he feels that will fit to that gameplay and that given day.
Well, it does look like that Hunter Henry is looking quite productive during training camp as well. Gesicki was a little bit quiet to start with, but then he's slowly getting involved in it. We are looking at another tight end, a 2 tight end set, which is what Bill O'Brien used in 2011 with Gronk and Hernandez, minus the murder. But with this, I think we're gonna see something different. Gesicki, when he played for the Dolphins, he's 6'6", he's 240, 250, somewhere along that lines. But my God, his elusiveness is actually really, really good. And he is a real big red zone target. He is a huge red zone target. So if you look at the receivers getting down the field, look out for running a 2 tight end set with Hunter Henry and Gesicki going into the end zone, because that could be problem. That's problems for corners. It's problems for corners. It's problem for the safeties as well. So that could be an issue.
Wasn't it in the Miami game at the beginning of last season that Gesicki made Duggar look stupid?
Yes.
Yeah, it was that play where Duggar just went nowhere and Gesicki was clean through, going, thanks, cheers, and left him for dead. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one. That's what now he's come to join us, so Duggar doesn't have to worry about that. I'm not sure who the tight end the Dolphins have anyway, but that's besides the point. What other key players have impressed you in training camp so far, either on offense or defense, Nick?
I don't know whether players impressing me is the right phrase. Certainly, something that's worrying me and is the offensive line participation. It has been sketchy at best.
Yeah,
David Andrews has been the only player who has been available 100% of the time. He may not have been in every snap, that's different, but he has been on the field every single session.
I think he got a day off.
Only offensive line. If he's been given a day off, fair enough.
He did.
He's the only player who has been available on that offensive line throughout the entire. Trent Brown's been around, but has been on the bottom field doing fitness drills.
It came out before we go on about Trent Brown. A piece of news came out saying he's struggling with injury, so that's why they.
Oh, great!
It's been minimum. It doesn't say what injury; it just said Trent Brown has he came on and did a conference.
If you look at our starting offensive line that we could have for week 1, if we do have a starting O-line for week 1, it will consist of Trent Brown at left tackle, Cole Strange left guard, David Andrews center, Michael Onwenu right guard, and one of either Riley Reef or Calvin Anderson. My bet is probably going to be Calvin Anderson because Riley Reef looks like a stunk up the joint in training camp and hasn't done particularly well. But the fact that
I've not seen Strange.
He's been injured
because he's injured as well.
Yeah, he picked up a thigh strain.
I was going to say I've not seen him for the last couple of days.
So Cole Strange was in days 1, 2, 3, and 4. Picked up a thigh strain, and he's only just come back, I think, yesterday. So
that's not the end of the world, really. So
that starting offensive line that you just mentioned, I've got 4 of the 5. Because I said to you off this podcast before we started, I said about my first choice offensive line. I wouldn't have Onwenu at right guard. I'd bump him to right tackle. And at right guard, I'd put Maffey.
I'm not against the idea of that. Onwenu has played right tackle before, but considering he is in a contract year, that might be an issue.
I just look at the best available. Maffey's taken some plays up at right guard, and he took some at left guard while Cole Strange was injured, and he's impressed. He's impressed enough for people to say he's not out of his depth. I'm not saying he's like the best guard that we've ever seen, but
no,
he seems to be. He's stepped into a position, and no one is saying he's out of his depth. So, to me, based on who we've got, if we've got a fully fit line, for me, it would be Brown, Strange, Andrews, Maffey, and Onwenu. And that means you don't have to consider playing Riley Reef or McDermott. You could possibly put Hines instead of Maffey, but the way Maffey's, Hines hasn't been tearing it up either. So,
but you do need a swing. You do need a swing tackle.
We need to get that offensive line fit because Tom Curran you said about Trent Brown being injured. Tom Curran reported way back when it was OTAs. Trent Brown turned up for OTAs and
overweight.
He was overweight. He wasn't fit. And the Patriots said to him, if you turn up like this for camp, you are in big trouble and we will cut you. And Trent Brown went away and he's improved to the point that he has at least turned up. He turned up lighter and fitter than he was at OTAs.
Lost 13 pounds or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. But he's still not fully fit. He's he's 7 foot nearly, almost 7 foot.
Yeah.
The guy weighs 350 pounds. I'm not surprised he's not fully 100% fit, but he needs to be fit enough to play the game. He's in a contract year this year as well. If he wants to be paid for a left tackle job, then he's got to be fit enough to play left tackle.
Yep.
I think his off-season condition is just doesn't give a shit.
Well, 6 bags of Doritos a day probably don't help.
McDonald's every day.
You sure it's Doritos? You sure it's Doritos? Anyway,
I just remember that interview that I can't remember who it was. It was somebody's left the Patriots now, gone, retired. But someone said that they were doing an interview with the press, and Trent Brown was just stood there after the game. He was just stood there pouring Doritos into his mouth. I think it might have been Gronk who said it, but
probably Gronk. He's always outlandish. He always says something. What about our special teams? Because there's been a couple of obviously Cody Davis is still out injured. He's still on the PUP list. That opens up the door for. I can't remember who the player is now because I've just lost my page. But what I have noticed regarding of our brand new rookie kicker, Chad Ryland, it seems like from what we've heard so far, he looks like he is beating out Nick Folk and taking over the kicking duties for this season. And apparently our new punter, because we all love a good punter, Beringa, is bombing them up in the air. I think apparently someone said there were over 5 seconds of hang time before the ball comes down. That's pretty sweet, if I'm honest with you.
I think Falk will get cut. I think Falk's
he's not getting any younger. Falk's not getting any younger, is he? I mean, he's been a great
they've drafted for these two lads.
They need
to for a kick and a punter if you're not going to use them.
Inside what? Inside 40, 45, 40, let's say 40 yards. Inside 40 yards last year, Falk was, I think, almost perfect. He pretty much nailed it. He pretty much nailed every kick inside 40 yards. As soon as you ask him to hit more than 45,
he won't do it.
His percentage went down significantly. He has not got the leg to do 45 plus yards anymore. And while he has been Mr. Consistent throughout his, not just at the Patriots, throughout his entire career, he has been Mr. Consistent in that range of sort of anywhere between sort of 35 and 45 yards. But time catches up with everybody. You know, what did they say with Tom Brady? Father Time is undefeated, and even Tom Brady will lose to Father Time at some point. And he obviously, but I don't think Falk has got the leg anymore.
Can we just go back a bit? Brady can be our starter any day.
Well, that's very
I'll bring him in now. I'll bring him in now.
He's going to play centre. He's going to play centre forward for Birmingham City. What are you talking about?
Yeah, Birmingham.
Yeah, I saw that. It was quite funny.
Yeah. I love that introduction video because he's like, "What do I know about football over here?
Yeah.
Nothing. I don't know anything. Don't know." And he's like, and then he was like, "But what do I know about winning?" And I'm like, have you seen Birmingham City? They ain't doing any winning, mate. Even with you there, they ain't doing any winning.
Let's sort of get back on topic, shall we?
Hang on. I saw an interview with Ryan Reynolds at the Wrexham game at the weekend, and they asked him. They said to him, "How do you feel about Tom Brady being part of Birmingham?" And Ryan Reynolds said, "If Tom Brady is part of Birmingham, everyone's in trouble." And then that Rob McKerney is the thing. He went, "Well, not if he picks the ball up and throws it; he'll get penalised."
Going back to this kicker, he's been doing on average between 45 to 49 yards kicking.
That's good.
No problem.
No good, no problem. I think it was on Friday's practice, which I believe was inside the stadium. They did one drive, and I believe he ended up not converting a 50-yard field goal, I think. So that's a good sign. That is a good sign. I spoke to a very good friend of mine who is a Baltimore Ravens fan, but he also watches NCAA, and he obviously supports the Maryland. That is where Chad Ryland come from.
Who's that?
And No. You won't know. You don't know this guy. He basically said, "What do you know about the kicker?" Because obviously he's come to us. He said, "Big leg on him, and the fact that Maryland is not a nice place because it's raining, pissed it down with rain, windy, and all that kind of crap. It sounds like Foxborough. It sounds like Massachusetts. So." Perfect kicker for you because it sounds like Manchester. It sounds like the UK full stop the way it's been the last couple of weeks. But no, it's good to see. Right.
The other coverage player that I wanted to touch on special teams. Bill actually said that he's probably the best special teams player to be played in the game is Chris Board from the Lions.
Chris Board, yeah. He's been making some noise.
So yeah. With him and Matthew Slater, we should do some business at the special teams.
And you've still got Schooler. You've got Brendan Schooler, who was a rookie last year, did really well in special teams.
He's the one that went and hugged Bill, wasn't it, or something?
He's the one who tried to hug. He went to hug Bill, and he's like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Yeah.
It's complete. It's like. That is a Conor McGregor meme. It is. Who the? Anyway, right before we move into the preview for the Texas preseason game, there is a bit of it's not so much as breaking news. It's news that we have seen already, and that is basically 2 retirements have happened. The first one, not really that significant. Wide receiver Jalen Hurd, who we picked up off waivers. He had 1 day of practice. Looked good. That was a nice grab he had for a touchdown during one of the plays. And then announced he is now retiring from the NFL. So we wish Jalen Hurd all the best. However, the other retirement is huge because he was, and I'm going to be very, very honest with you guys. When we drafted him, it was either him or possibly Nick Chubb. I think I kind of knew who we should have gone for now that time has passed. But possibly. But Sony Michel has announced his retirement. And without him, our run to Super Bowl 53, especially the playoffs, would not happen. It would not happen. If you go back through his stats throughout to the back end of that season in the playoffs and the Super Bowl, it was 13-3. We beat the Rams. It's not exact. It was the most boring Super Bowl I've ever watched in my life. But he still got
the greatest Super Bowl I've ever watched.
If you like punting, then yes.
Sonny Michel rushed for 3,243 yards and 18 touchdowns in his 5-year career, winning 2 Super Bowls with the Rams and the Patriots.
With the Rams and the Patriots, yeah. And it's a shame he's had his career cut short though, due to injuries and that. But
I think his legs just gave in. When he went back to I think he left Rams and he went to
Chargers.
Where did he go? Falcons or Chargers? That's it.
He
that didn't work out. Went back to Rams. That was dull.
Rams.
I think nothing against Sonny Michel, like you said. He was instrumental in getting us to the Super Bowl that year, and he kind of deserved that sort of touchdown for what he did. But you said we had 2 picks in that first round, and we picked Isaiah Wynn and Sonny Michel. We could have had Lamar Jackson that year. I'd have much rather have picked Lamar Jackson and Sonny Michel or Lamar Jackson and Nick Chubb. Mm-hmm. Why we picked Isaiah Wynn that year, I will never know. But, Sonny came in. He did a job in his rookie year. He outperformed the other running backs we had on the roster, and he got what he deserved. He got a Super Bowl touchdown. So, thank you, Sonny, for everything you did for the Patriots, really. I don't think he's short of a few quid.
No, he's not. He's not short of it at all. Nah. Not short of it at all. Really, really happy for him. His rushing stats was he played 13 games. He started 8 of them. This was in 2018 when he got to the Super Bowl. 931 yards, 6 touchdowns. So he didn't have many, but his yardage was the one that really would really crucify you. And he was a vocal point on that run, a big vocal point. So we wish Sony Michel all the best in his retirement. We love you, Sony. We absolutely love you. Right. Before we crack on with the next segment, which will also be the preseason, just to let everybody know, guys, that we spoke about this on the last podcast. Full 10 Yards are hosting an NFL kickoff party at the Felsons pub in Birmingham for the first week of the NFL Sunday. There'll be prizes throughout the night. Pool and shuffleboard is available. It's £10 on the door with including a free drink. Book now at full10yards.co.uk/kickoff to get your tickets. And also, DJ, you've also got something to do with Full 10 Yards as well regarding of an NFL supporters book in a way.
Yeah. So
please explain.
Yeah, the lads, what we do is we produce an annual season preview guide. So as such, this podcast, we've got various other networks in the UK that are working similar to what we're doing obviously we all contribute to the full 10 yards. And what they do is they get their analysis from each team members, and we just put write a little bit of write up in regards to each and individual's teams. It all goes and it gets published by them, and then it goes on to sale. I think it's about 108 page pack with teams, league previews, tips like betting, what to do and the betting stance things as well if you want to have a punt. That goes on sale in 2 weeks' time, so it's just in the middle of pre-season. So there'll be a website that will be going out soon, or should be live already, but I'll be posting out on social soon. And because if you order it through our code, so we get a discount code like a 10%. If you put touch 6, you get I think it's like £1.50 off the original pricing, so it takes it about £6, and it will just get delivered on your doorstep. Posted packages free as well within the UK.
Are you going to deliver it personally?
Yeah. I'll fly over from Jib. Yeah.
I'm willing to order it if you're going to knock on my door and hand deliver it personally.
So I think you get if you was to order it, you get a hard copy, and then you also get the digital one sent to your inbox as well, so your email. So you get the 2 versions.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but that'll I'll be posting that out in the socials.
Excellent. That's good. Before we crack on with the pre-season stuff, there was something you just posted on the private chat, DJ, and that is of course the Patriots have hosted former Patriot Trey Flowers for a workout. When Trey Flowers was drafted to the Pats, I thought he was fantastic. I loved the guy. I thought he was a home wrecker. It's just a shame we didn't keep hold of him. I think it was due to not having enough cap space, I believe, at the time. So, I mean, I wouldn't mind Trey Flowers back, but it seems like he's been jumping from team to team. Basically, I don't know. Has he lost his edge? Pardon the term of Fraser.
I think it would just be more of a depth backup rotation kind of guy. I think I'd be pretty confident in having what we've got right now.
He's got to be better than Riley. He's got to be better than Riley Reef. And if he's better than Riley Reef, if Trent Bound's not fit, that means Trey Flowers would become your first choice left tackle.
No way he wouldn't be left tackle.
There's nowhere else you're going to put him.
He's defensive end,
He's defensive end, not left.
Defensive end. Trey Flowers.
Okay. No, it's
who
all
you
right.
think?
I don't know who he's thinking of.
Oh, you're thinking of Eric Flowers. He's useless.
Oh, possibly, yeah. Eric.
Anyway, let's
ignore me.
So this Thursday, pre-season week 1, at home, and our only home warm-up match to the Houston Texans. I'm not going to talk about the Texans because I honestly haven't really checked out who they drafted and so on.
The quarterback, Stroud, whatever his name
is. Is it CJ Stroud? Yeah,
second round pick.
Yeah, CJ Stroud. Yeah, but he's probably going to be he's going to start. He will start.
Yeah,
there isn't anybody. So we're probably looking at Davis Mills probably playing, and so on. But regarding on New England side of things, what are your three key points to that game? Which 3 players you're really interested in watching during this game? Who you keeping your eye on the most?
I think we all know that I don't think Mac's going to play for many snaps.
He ain't going to play.
You'd be lucky if he does.
I'll guarantee. I will bet my house that Mac Jones does not play a single snap on Thursday night.
Yeah, possibly. So then it's your quarterback situation. You've got Zappi,
McSorley,
and Cunningham. See what happens with that one.
Nah, Cunningham won't play, I don't think.
Nah. So it's just going to probably be those 2 as quarterback. Running back situation, again, I don't think Stevenson's going to play. It'll be more Harris, Strong.
Yeah, Strong.
Montgomery, I don't think he's going to be fit. And I don't know whoever else is there was running backs. And then wide receiver.
That's our running back depth.
Yeah, wide receiver. I doubt Juju Parker will play. Bourne.
No.
He might then you got Thornton, Bolden, all them like that. The rookies will play. They need the reps.
You're looking at Demario. I think you're looking at Demario Douglas, Keishon Butte. You're looking at probably Trey Nixon as well.
Thornton,
possibly Thornton.
Yeah,
If he's dropped off that much, I think he will play a little bit. Sorry, and I think he needs to more than anything. So
yeah.
Nick, what about you?
It's hard to separate what I think should what I think could, because I think Mac Jones should take some part in it, because the Mac Jones we saw last year, based on that, you need to get out in the middle and start playing. I think if you are going to play your first teamers, then you don't play them for long, maybe a quarter, if that. But you can't play everybody. So, I think you have to look at, say, the receivers that are on that cusp. The Thorntons, Mixon, Douglas, Butte, get them to play. You don't need to play Stevenson, so let Strong get some touches. I think it would benefit Mac to have a quarter, but Bailey Zappi and McSorley probably should be the ones to get the main
half each
main game. I think, to be honest, all I want to do is see us get out the game with no injuries and at least some positive play.
Yeah.
If we come out of that game and say that we can see an improvement on what we saw last year, we can see where the Patriots are going. I think it's like preseason over here. You don't worry about the results. You worry about what you see in the game. Yeah. So I think if we go into if we lose to the Texans, I really don't care. I just want to see I want to see an improvement on the offense from last year. I want to see everybody come out the game with no injuries, and I just want to see heart and desire. You're given a chance, especially these rookies and these guys that are desperately trying to make the 53. You're being given a chance. Grasp it with both hands and don't let go. That's all you really want to see.
Yeah.
So it's so hard to predict a preseason. I'm not going to sit here and say, "Oh, I think they'll win. I think they'll win. I think they'll win." I just want to see an improvement.
Yeah, I want to see improvement as well. I want to see how this offensive line holds up. Would we get a little bit of a tight end set with Hunter Henry and Gesicki in there for a couple of drives? Maybe, just to see what we got. But no, I'm excited to see how Keon White does, because I just want to see him do a Stone Cold Steve Austin, which is basically arrive, raise hell, and then leave. That's all I want to see him do, because I can just see him. When we spoke to him when we drafted him, no, he's not one of these fancy, flashy guys. He's a no-nonsense guy who gets down, works his ass off. He was a Domino's driver when he was in college because he wanted to pay for his own way, and he's a hard worker. That's the sort of guy that you could sort of rely on to say, you've got a job to do. And I think he will do that job. Does he kill a quarterback this season? I don't know yet, but we'll have to wait and see. But I'm not going to ask for score predictions, because as we said, it's preseason. You want to see what you got with this new offensive playbook, and you want to see how the rookies do and who can break into this 53-man roster, or who's going to drop out. We've talked about Thornton pretty much for quite a fair bit tonight, where he could fall out of the depth chart.
I think this is it. This is a good opportunity for them to show what they can do. Also, for the staff, it's now getting to a point where they're already needing to think who they're cutting down to the 75-man roster, and then obviously to your 53. So all these reps, all these games, will give them more or less knowledge or where they're going to sit out with. They're not going to sit anywhere with us. So
yeah, it will be. It will be.
Like Nick said, if they can come through injury free, then that's all you want. You know, you just want a good, productive 4 quarters, and just go out and have fun. That's it.
No, absolutely. It's all you want to do. You want to go out there, have fun, but you want to play hard and play aggressive and play to win.
Yeah,
that's the whole point. The whole point of elite sport. Right, we are going to get on out of here. Thank you to DJ. Thank you to Nick. Thank you to everyone that. No worries. Thank you to everyone that has viewed the stream. Thank you to everyone that has been listening on Spotify. Please make sure you are smashing the like button and you're hitting that subscribe button as well. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter, and follow us for your guide as well, for the full 10 yards guide that DJ was talking about earlier. We will also put the link of that in the description below, as well as the full 10 yards party in Birmingham. That description is down below as well. Thank you to everyone that's watching. Pats, football is back, baby. Thursday night against the Texans. Let's have a good game. See you later, people. Go Patriots.
See you later.
Bye.